Hey team, Doug here with Machinery Partner. Today we're going to go through the startup sequence of 750J RS. This is a Barford rock crusher with an attached screener. If you're somebody that's looking to recycle concrete, recycle asphalt, crush mild rock, and sort your own piles, the 750J RS is for you. You can expect this machine to process any of those materials with no issues. Difference between a Barford 750J and a 750J RS is sitting right behind me. Let's take a look. If we look back here, the 750J RS comes with its own self-operated, self-contained screening system. This is a three-way screener that will give you oversized product and fines. If you look to my left, here is one of your side conveyors. This will be your product size. Off the front, you will have your fines, and on the opposite side, you will have your oversize. The 750J RS also comes with a larger chassis, allowing for the machine to carry the weight of the screener. The screener itself has two vibratory motors, one on each side, 4 corner spring mounts that you can see here, 2 springs in each. With the Barford 750J RS screener, you will be able to process at 30 to 150 tons per hour, creating 3 different products. If you ever find yourself in need of just a standard crusher without the screener, but you bought the RS, don't be worried. You can remove the screener in 15 minutes without any lifting devices, track off, and go start crushing without the screener in your way. With the 750J and 750J RS being good for medium, rock, and your concrete and your asphalt recycling, these are the perfect machines for you. The 750J RS can screen up to 4-inch material, so if you're looking for a machine that can screen larger material, you should probably look at getting a standalone screener. When you're going to start up the machine, the first thing you want to do is come up to the front catwalk. If you look up on the sidewall, you'll notice there's a big red dial. This is your battery disconnect. You should switch it horizontally to turn it on to give the machine power. When you turn this on, you'll notice that your screen for your engine control on your deep sea panel will light up. That means your machine has power. After you have your battery disconnect turned on, you'll walk over to the HMI, or the Human Machine Interface. This is where you have all your controls to run your crushing functions and get your machine started. What you'll do is you'll turn the lock and open the door. Once the door is open, you'll notice a whole bunch of buttons with pictures of what they control. Your red and green buttons will be for functions. Green is to turn on, red is to turn off. You can turn them on individually in manual mode, or all on at the same time, all off at the same time in automatic mode. You might be wondering, how do I know if I'm in manual or automatic? That can be selected right here with this little turn dial switch. This switch shows a hand. The hand icon will be manual, off to the left or the front of the machine. If you flick it to the right, that will be automatic. We'll leave it in manual for this. So when you go to start up your machine, you want to make sure your e-stop is popped out. You will then come to the bottom left switch. This bottom left switch will start your engine. You'll flick it to the right, there will be a momentary delay, and then your engine will fire up. Once your engine is running, you'll then come over to the main isolator. This isolator needs to be switched up to where it's pointing at the red position. Red means you have electrical power given to your system. So once it's switched up red, you'll then come to the second row of lights and buttons. You'll push your blue e-stop reset button. Once you push this blue button, it will light up and turn blue. You know you're good to go on to your next step. You'll then come over to the first yellow button. This button is your pre-start button. You will hit it. There will be an audible alarm that comes on for 6 seconds. After that 6 seconds, the alarm will go off and your light will light up. Once the light is on and your pre-start is good, you'll come over to the far right and enable your power pack. Once the power pack lights up green in the middle, you then have power to all of your functions. If you want to enable and turn on your functions, you'll then come up to the top 2 rows of green and red switches, and you can select which individual function you want to turn on. Now, if you're doing this in manual mode, you will only do this for troubleshooting, repairs, or inspection. You never want to run your machine in manual mode. So, if you're going into crushing, the only change will be the manual or auto select. Once you select auto, you can go through the same sequences, start your power pack. When everything is running and your pre-start is lit up, you will then press the auto button next to the pre-start. The auto button will then allow all of your functions to engage and the machine will start up in sequence. When you're done crushing and you're ready to shut down, it's important that you hit the red button with the hand saying stop to shut off your functions. This will go through a sequence to shut down your functions in the correct order and the proper timing. Once everything is wound down, you can then go through your proper shutdown sequence of turning off your power pack, turning off your isolator, and then turning off the engine. After you shut down your HMI and everything is good here, you'll notice the machine still has power. That power can be shut off using the battery isolator switch. However, you'll notice a red light right above your switch. This light will stay illuminated, showing that your DEF tank is purging. This machine runs on DEF for emission control. Once this light goes off, that means your DEF lines are completely purged and it's safe to cut the power of the machine. So with no light, simply grab the red switch, flick it vertical, and your machine is powered down. Always make sure that you shut off your battery every single night. If you don't wait for this light to turn off and allow your DEF tank to purge out, over time you will build up a crystallization in your DEF lines and it will cause faults in your emission system. That can mean that you'll have to get a Caterpillar dealer out to come out and run service on your DEF system that can cost you a lot of time and money. So always make sure you make the right choice and wait till the light's out before you shut down. Unfolding your Barford 750J RS. So if you refer to our startup sequence, you'll see how to enable the power pack. That's all you have to have enabled to run your hydraulic functions to unfold your machine. So once your power pack is set, you'll walk up here by the front catwalk. Just in front of it, you'll see two manual hydraulic levers. Right next to it, you'll see a decal showing you which function it's going to move, along with some warning decals. Always make sure that you're in an open area with no obstructions where you're going to come into contact with any of your conveyors. When you come up to your manual levers, you'll notice you have two options. One will show lifting and lowering, and one will show unfolding. Your lifting and lowering, or your top lever, will run your main conveyor up and down. So it will raise and lower. This can be used to adjust your mag belt with blocks. It can be used to set your screener attachment on the ground to remove it. It can also be used to adjust your discharge height of your main conveyor. Your bottom lever will be to fold and unfold your side conveyors. Now you'll notice when you get the machine, you'll have these red bars present. These red bars are for transportation only and need to be removed when unfolding. You'll find them mounted on the side pins of your side conveyors, and there's one on each side. They can be easily removed by removing the spring clips and pulling the bars off. You may need to push up on the conveyor by hand lightly to ensure you can get it off, and then lower it until you feel the hydraulic resistance. Once you've removed your bars, you'll then grab your bottom lever and you can move it in the lower position. Your side conveyors will run sequenced. One will come down all the way. Once it seats in its fully lowered position, the other side will lower down into its fully lowered position. Once they're down, you're then good to set up your side guards. These side guards slide up over and lock down, and they install sills on the top of your belts. Your sills must always rest on top of your belts and not underneath. Once you have your side sill guards installed and all your sills riding on top of your belts, you are then good to turn them on and start running product. If you're looking to lower and drop your screening attachment or lower your discharge height, you must ensure that you first remove the locking pins in the arms. The locking pins are also held in by spring clip, and it may require a little bit of finesse in adjusting your top lever to free your pin up to remove it. Once you've removed your pin, you're good to lower. And there are also holes to reinstall your pins and lock them back in place. Now, it must be understood that your screen box and your belts should be orientated to where your belts are sitting level with the horizon so that your screen box can properly process the material. As you can see, as we have it set up now, the screen box is at an incline. This will allow the material to move down smoothly and sort cleanly and efficiently. If you take a look over at the side conveyors, you can see that they are set up so they are horizontal with the horizon and will create a good pile. If you were to lower this and bring it down and tilt everything forward, your material will process very poorly, slowly, and probably jam up. You will also have material pouring off of one side of your belt because gravity will pull it to the lowest point. It's also important that before you start screening material or running your machine, you remove the transportation plates, which are in opposite corners of your screen box. They're held in by 4 bolts. Simply remove your bolts, take the bracket off, and store them in your toolbox underneath your hydraulic tank. When you come up to your HMI, it may seem a little bit intimidating with the amount of switches and keys that you have present. However, it's really simple. Let me talk you through it. If we start in the top row, you'll see you have 3 different selections. Each selection is labeled clearly with pictures and words showing what it does. The top left, you're going to have your screen box. You can see this by the shaker motor. Green will be on, red will be off. When the function is running, the middle section will light up green, showing it's engaged. If we move to the right, you then have your feeder deck shaker. To the far right, you'll notice your fines conveyor direction. It's a 3-position switch. Left will be feeding your fines back onto your main discharge belt, putting the fines into your product pile. Middle will be shutting off your fines conveyor. That's saying you don't want to use it. And the right side will bring your fines, your dirt, anything you don't want in your product, out the back and into a separate pile. If we move down to our second row of switches, these will all be function enables. Again, green on, red off. When the function's on, the middle section will light up green. Starting on the left, we have our jaw box. Moving over, we have our tail conveyor. We have our 2 side conveyors off the shaker deck. We then have our fines, which is going to be your main discharge off of your screen deck. And then we have our main conveyor, which is the main conveyor out of the machine. On the far right, we have our magnetic belt, which runs over the main discharge belt of your crusher, and it will be used to remove any sort of metal contamination present in your material. When tracking your jaw crusher, you'll be doing it through a wired remote control. This remote control has a cable that attaches just above your front catwalk, and then is a very simplistic 2-switch, 2-button control. Once your power pack is enabled, you must ensure that your remote is plugged in up top. Once it's plugged in, you'll make sure that your e-stop, which is a 1/4 turn release, this 1/4 turn, it will pop out, is released, and then you will turn on your power to your remote below, simply by pushing that button to the right. Once you've given power you'll hear an audible alarm kick on, which is a motion alarm for the machine. And then you will use the 2 toggles to move either side track, front or back. I want to talk to you about your loading hopper, your Grizzlies, and your jaw chamber. So when we look up here and we look to our left, this is going to be where you load your material. This loading hopper will shake and vibrate, which is all controlled by your ultrasonic sensor and the machine's computer, ensuring that your jaw chamber is kept at a good level while crushing and does not overload or shut off and stop crushing. With your loading hopper, you'll notice that you have some Hardox plates. There's 2 on each side wing and 1 at the rear. These Hardox plates are held in with carriage bolts. You can see here, and so on. You can remove these when they wear out and replace them quickly and easily. If you look in the bottom of your shaker deck, you'll notice some more Hardox plates. These are also serviceable. They are hex head bolts, countersunk. What I always like to suggest is that you take some silicone caulking and fill up this hex head portion so that when it comes time to service and replace, you can pop the silicone out and get those bolts removed. Moving up towards the crushing chamber, we have what we call grizzly bars. The grizzly bars act as a pre-screen or pre-cleaning implement. What they do is they allow your large material to come across and shake, and when it vibrates, any sort of dirt or fines that you don't want going through your jaw chamber will fall through the bottom chute onto your fines conveyor. Moving up, we're taking a peek here at the jaw chamber. You can look in and see your jaw plates. You can see one side is fixed and one side is swinging. Your swinging jaw is what does all the crushing motion. You'll notice each plate is held in by 2 T-bolts that you can see at the top of the chamber. Let me get this hood flipped up and we'll take a closer look. As you can see in here, we've got our 2 jaw plates that we already talked about. And we have easy access to our T-bolts and wedge plates. So I'm going to point with my foot here to make sure I don't fall in. But right here is our wedge plate. Inside the little holes are our T-bolts. These wedge plates and T-bolts wedge the top of our jaw plate in place, ensuring that the jaw plate stays where it needs to be. Above that, we have another wear plate that can be serviced and changed by removing the hex head bolts, ordering the part through machinerypartner.com, and replacing it when it's worn out. So, below that, the wedge plate and T-bolts, and then we have where the magic happens. These are your jaw plates. You will notice that the jaw plates are corrugated, which allows your material to fall through and be crushed at the high points of your jaw plates. The material will then fall through to your belt or down lower in the jaw, where it will continue to get crushed to size. If you look closely on the side, you'll notice 2 plates. There's one top and bottom for each side. These are called cheek plates. The cheek plates prevent material from wearing through the non-serviceable components of your jaw box, being the sides. You can service and replace these cheek plates easily by opening up your side covers, removing the T-bolt retainers, popping them out, and pulling the cheek plates up out of the top. This will have to be done with the jaws wide open and the jaw plates also removed to allow easy clearance for your parts. When you go back together, make sure that you tighten everything to torque and you apply torque seal for quick and easy inspections in the future. When it's time to change out your jaw plates, Machinery Partner and Barford have worked together to create a lifting system to help you do it quickly, efficiently, and safely. If you look down in the middle, you'll notice 2 holes, one on each side of the jaw plate. And what you do is take the lifting points, the lifting bars, you will insert them into these holes. You will turn them to offset the shafts, and then you can easily lift those plates out once your wedge plate and T-bolts are removed. For your jaw box, you want to make sure that you're greasing this at a steady interval per the user manual. You will also notice up here at the grease points, there are decals that show you to lubricate every 40 hours. It tells you exactly how much, 30 grams, 20 grams. These are your grease points. You'll notice above, it says to use EP2. EP2 grease is important because these are sealed bearings and we must abide by the manufacturer's recommended lubricant. Barford supplies you with 1 tube of EP2 grease. I recommend when you get your machine, you take this down to your local hardware shop and you source and buy yourself a case to have on hand. So, you might be wondering, why spray bars? Why water? Well, that's a great question. This can help you in 2 different ways. Your spray bar, if you're running during normal operation, will help keep your jaw plates clean of any sort of buildup or clogging if you're working with wet or sticky material. Wet and sticky material falling into your jaw plates will fill up the low sides and basically create a slick surface that the rocks will then slide up rather than crush and come down. It works really well for asphalt. When you're running in reverse, the spray down system will keep the product wet and flowing down to the belt, again, so it doesn't fill up your jaw plates. Now, if you're working in a residential area or near a town and you need dust suppression, this will work for your dust suppression. Once the material meets the loading chamber, it will vibrate up. Before it gets crushed and agitated, it will get wet down. It'll continue to be wet down. Once it goes through, you also have spray bar systems up front on your discharge conveyors to also help suppress the dust. Today we're going to talk about adjusting your jaw. It's a very simple sequence. All you have to do is refer to our startup sequence video, get your power pack running. No other functions are needed. You can do that through the HMI right here. Once your power pack light is green and you're powered up, all you have to do is come to the back cover here on your operator side, remove the 2 bolts that are securing it, and swing this door open. You'll notice you have some operation adjustment decals. This is your instructions on how to make your adjustments. It's very simple. It's hydraulically done with this lever, mechanically done with 2 nuts. Those nuts are on your tie rod, and you can see them when you look in here. So right here we have our tie rod. Here's our locking nut. Here's our tension nut. This plate is your spring cap. You then have your spring, which holds the tension on the toggle fuse. And then up above here, you'll see your adjustment bird's beak. Should always be measured right to the back side of your spring cap. Your toggle fuse is located just to the back of your spring assembly above the tie rod. So if you reach back, you can feel it. Your wrenches are in your toolbox below your hydraulic tank. Everything you need is right here. All you need to do is come inside with your wrench, loosen up your jam nut, and then adjust your pressure nut 1/2 inch off and make your 1/2 inch adjustment. Never adjust your jaws more than 1/2 inch at a time to prevent the toggle fuse from falling out of its seats and creating a bigger problem. Once you loosen your jam nut and you adjust your pressure nut, you can make your adjustment by slowly moving this handle. Once you see your spring adjust on your tie rod, it'll look like an accordion moving in or out. Move it 1/2 inch. Then you're good to go in and adjust your pressure nut to meet the bird's beak, which is outlined here in blue. Your bird's beak will always come in right at the back of your spring cup. You can see that when you look inside. Always make sure that it's adjusted at the proper tension to ensure you're getting the best possible outcome of your Barford 750J RS. Your toggle fuse is a mechanical safety put in between your swing jaw and your mounting surface on your frame. Your toggle fuse acts as your safety, so if anything uncrushable gets inside your jaw and your jaw is trying to crush it down but it won't budge, it'll bend, creating a failure to allow that material to fall through, preventing your machine from breaking anything catastrophic. You should check your toggle fuse daily to ensure it's free of any distortion, wear, cuts, or damage. Your toggle fuse can last the lifetime of your machine if you're putting the proper material into your jaw crusher and making sure that you're not throwing anything uncrushable through. In the event that you do have a toggle fuse fail, you probably have one in your spare parts kit, but if you don't, just give us a call here at Machinery Partner and we'll get you one coming as fast as we can. And what we're going to focus on is your crusher drive motor and your belts. This is an inspection point that you need to be doing because the drive belts are rubber, so as they wear, they will stretch and you will need to adjust. So let's take a deeper look. Off the back here, you have your drive pulley. Your drive pulley is slotted for all your belts to run through. It then comes up and around your flywheel. This is what makes your jaw move. So, when we inspect, we want to take one finger, come to each belt, and pull down in the middle. You should have one belt width give. So when you drag the belt down, it should come down to the bottom of the next belt. So on and so forth. To adjust that, what you do is you'll get through the top access panel that is just behind the crushing chamber, 2 bolts to get into, 19 millimeter. You'll go down and you'll adjust your T-bolts to push or pull your blue drive motor, just like adjusting a very large alternator. Other important inspection points is to ensure your wedge sheave off of your drive motor is tight and nothing is slipping. You can check this by taking a look at the 2 Allen head bolts that are countersunk inside of the sheave. These should come with torque seal. If they're not torque seal when you get it, put torque seal on them. If you find over time that your belt is beginning to slip and it's not traveling when it should, the first thing you should do is go inside of your housing and ensure that all of your rollers are rolling and nothing is jammed in between, preventing your belt from turning. If everything's free and in good working order, chances are your belt has stretched and it's time to add some tension. When you're adding tension, it's important that you do it incrementally to ensure that you're giving enough tension to provide grip on your drive pulley, but not over tensioning to cause damage. It's important that you make your adjustments at the base or your large ready rod or your large adjustment side to give tension. When you go there, ensure that you're making the same amount of turns on each side to keep your belt running true. Once you have enough tension to where your belt is turning freely and the way it should, check it under load. When it's under load, that will tell you if your tension is right or if you need to add a little bit more. You'll know it's time to change your conveyor belt when you start to see braiding present and showing through your belt. When you see braiding present, chances are your belt has worn off its top protective layer and it's time to get you a new belt. If you need spare parts or service, give us a call here at Machinery Partner. So we've got everything set down there. Our engine's running. We're ready to do a regen. It's as simple as crawling up. You can remove this side panel or open the access door. I've removed it for ease. Once you're in here at your deep sea panel, you'll notice that you have an e-stop and a little rocker switch here. This rocker switch is for your regeneration activation. It's as simple as this. Come up, open the door, have your engine running, and flick your switch. Once the switch is flicked, give your machine 10 to 15 minutes to take the opportunity to initiate a regen. You'll notice a regen is active when your engine starts to idle up on its own and create its own load. When it's finished, your machine will idle back down and you'll be good to shut off your regen and go back to crushing. Once your Regen switch is activated and your engine takes your Regen on, it can take anywhere from 20 to 45 minutes to run a complete Regen, depending on the soot load. If you want to get into your deep sea panel, you can go through using the check mark and the navigation buttons on the left to find out what your soot load is. You should always make sure you run your Regen to keep that soot load below 65%. You can see this is different than a standard 750J. It's built with a little bit heavier chassis, so it can carry a screener attachment. If you're buying a 750J RS, you can only crush down to 4 inches. You cannot crush to the maximum 5 inches when the screener is attached. The reason that is because the belt scraper at the top of the screen deck closes a gap down to about 4 inches, preventing anything larger from flowing through freely. If you have a 750J RS and you want to crush at 5 inches, let me show you how you can do that. You start by adjusting your jack legs. Make sure that they're moving freely and operating correctly. Once these are set at a decent position, which is about the height we have them now, you can move up to the front of your machine and lower the front jack legs. These jack legs are pinned in, so all you have to do is come around back, remove your spring clip, throw it in your pocket for safekeeping, drop your pin, drop your leg down. Once your leg's down, you'll see the hole lines up top. Put that pin back in, replace your spring clip, and do the same on the other side. So once your jack legs are set, there's a couple other things that you have to unhook. You can see here, you have electrical attachments that are labeled and color-coded for what they run. You also have quick disconnect hoses that will need to be removed when you're pulling this screen box off. Once you have your jack legs down, you'll go to the far side of the machine and you will use your top lever to lower your main conveyor. Before you do that, you have to come over and remove your locking pins out of your top support arms. Once those pins are free, you're good to go to the other side and lower it down. Once you lower down, your front legs will contact the ground. When those have contacted, you're then good to set your rear legs. Once your rear legs are set, you will relieve the pressure on the pins here at the rear, and you can pop the spring clips and push those pins out. You can then disconnect all of your hosing and your electrical, and then we come back up front and we unpin our shackle arms. Once these are unpinned and everything is good, you'll then go back to the other side, raise up your main conveyor, grab your machine, track it backwards, and get it out of the way. So when it comes to daily maintenance on your Barford 750J RS, you've got it pretty easy. What you need to do is grease your machine daily. What we consider daily is every 8 hours of operation. Make sure that you follow the maintenance manual and guide on how to take care of your machine. Once you've lubricated, always ensure that you check your belts are running square and true and are free of any damage or rips. If you identify an issue with your belt, let us know and we'll be here to supply a new one for you. Other maintenance checks will be checking all of your engine components. Ensure your oil, coolant, and hydraulic oils are all full. Final check, get up inside your jaw, make sure your plates are good. If it's time to flip them, do that before it's too late. If it's time for a new set, give us a call. You'll know it's time to change your jaw plates when you look down and you can see the ridges are starting to become flat. If you try to change your jaw plate and flip it when that's flat and indented too far, it's already too late. So make sure that you take maintenance seriously.